Hey there guys, so there's this new game coming out called Marathon, and from first glance, I have no idea what I'm looking at. Though this game is clearly ambitious, it lacks direction, and I have watched a good amount of the trailers, and if you have watched them too, you can clearly tell that they are Love, Death and Robots inspired, because apparently the cinematic trailer was made by people who worked on Love, Death and Robots, and unfortunately, the trailers are rather misleading, and they don't represent what the game is. So already their marketing is very bad, which will hurt them in the end if it's not hurting them already. The best way I can describe what this game is, and it's quite a lot, think of Ghost in a Shell meets Cyberpunk with a splash of Apex Legends and with a dash of Destiny. There's a lot going on with this game, specifically with regards to its art style and narrative, but Marathon is not a brand new game. It comes from a very old franchise with the same name that was made back in 1994 by Bungie, and yes, it's the same Bungie that made Halo, and in fact there are actually 3 Marathon games, but if you look at them, they have that sort of old style, almost like Doom and Wolfenstein, a very dark gritty style. To then go to making this new style really makes no sense. The concerns around this game come from the art direction and studio. How does the studio that made Halo, which is one of the biggest franchises of all time, go to make such a small nonsensical game? And the worst part about it is that the game is basically going to be some live service first person shooter, an extraction shooter to be more precise, which if I am being honest is a really huge waste of potential. The cinematic trailer gave the game depth and it hinted at a pretty cool narrative. Bungie would be making a huge mistake if they don't make sense of what their game is trying to be. The gameplay aside, what is the reason for this game? Who are the characters? And what is the long-term goal? Now look, I know what the game is about, but that just is not good enough. At this point, if they don't give the game more meaning, then we are most likely looking at another Concord, because at least conceptually the game looks better than Concord, but as for on paper, I just don't think a lot of people will understand what exactly this game is. Surely they can tell you what it is, but you really feel what they are saying when you play the game. The minimalistic approach to the characters and environments doesn't help. People might like the gameplay, but they will want more from the game. And as far as I've seen, there really isn't much here. The biggest problem with Marathon is that it looks like an indie game. This is the type of stuff people would expect from an indie studio. The game does not reflect the studio it's from, and it does come off as very lazy on their part. Because the other question is, who is going to buy this game, and why would they buy it? It makes no sense for how a AAA studio can come up with a game like this, but to be fair, I don't think anyone has any expectations for this game. The developer will probably defend the game if it does bad, saying that people just don't understand the game. And then other people will argue that they set high expectations with their cinematic trailer because the cinematic trailer gave more context to the game than the game itself did. I've been watching reviews about the Marathon Alpha, and a lot of people are not happy. Based off of what I saw from the gameplay trailer, I had already formed an opinion that the gameplay was not good. But I've checked out some other people's videos, and for the most part they agree with me. Or let me say that I agree with them. I have enough experience with fast-paced games to know when a game has fluid gameplay, and fluid this game is not. A lot of people complain that the gameplay is slow and clunky, and based on the game's narrative, it should not be that way. Based on the narrative, the characters are not human, so they should not have human limitations, and you'd think that they would go wild with their characters like other games have, but the characters you play in the game are quite bland and unimaginative. If their whole angle is to add more content over time, then this game might not be good enough to get that over time. At this point, we are at a time of where we are having live service game fatigue. People are not hyped for new live service titles because live service games are no longer a part of the meta right now. People are more moving over to indie and campaign games because they want value for money. Over the past 2 to 3 years, we have been getting single player games that have become overnight successes, selling anywhere from 1 million within the first day to selling 10 million copies first week. With all this evidence that people's interests have been shifting, they still want to bring in a new live service game, just as live service games are on their way out. People have said multiple times that they don't want live service games anymore because live service games are not good for the video game and gaming industry, and Concord is the best example of this. You make a live service game that is supposed to be a long-term project, and sometimes you don't even get the long-term. If the game is not good enough, then people won't buy your game. And live service games are expensive to make. You never really hear stories about an indie live service game that was made by a small studio and was cheap to develop. or maybe any that I haven't heard of. With the video game industry trying to make a comeback and everyone having high expectations, the game will most likely fly under the radar. I know that a lot of people will say that the game isn't out yet, but the marketing of it is what is wrong. Because you watch the trailer and then you see the gameplay, and now you have no idea why you would play this game. And it's not going to be free, so there isn't that much of an incentive. The game has potential, and all they have to do is become more creative. Had they just made a Halo clone, the game might have got a lot less negative attention. And from my point of view, I think Marathon might get delayed. A lot of games have been getting delayed lately. My advice is, give the game a better narrative, give the game a good story. The characters and art style are crazy, and now you can explain all the craziness, because without an explanation, there's going to be nothing to hook the player. I would also say change the character designs. Give the female characters more feminine characteristics, make them more attractive, give them better body builds, and for the male characters, give them better builds too. Be more creative. Give the male characters better body augments, like hand cannons and blades that come out of their arms. Give them better guns too. I have no idea why the guns in this game look so weird. They lack practicality and a good design. Just give the people more is what I'm saying. I'm sick and tired of this purist nature when it comes to design, because it really hurts what you're trying to make if what you're trying to make is not creative enough. And right now, people can't make sense of what they're trying to make. And with that, this is the Chilly Man signing off. Thank everyone for watching. Peace out.